Good evening. Welcome to the Mythical Ireland Library. It's a bit too personal, isn't it? Yeah, that's better. No, we don't need to be that close. Good evening, one and all. You're very welcome to Live Irish Myths. Make sure the microphone is close enough and that you're hearing me well. Hope everybody's keeping well. We are on episode number 235. And it says Squire 16 in the description. Apologies about that, folks. Should say episode 235. Here we go. Children of Tuireann 1. There you go. What is the significance of the number 235? Why is the number 235 significant to some of the material that Mythical Ireland has written? I'll give you 2 minutes to answer that one. Anyway, if you're joining us, you're very welcome. For the next hour or maybe a little bit more, I'm going to read. And we're on a new story tonight. We're starting Oidhe Chloinne Tuireann, the fate of the Children of Turin. You may remember, if you were here early on, we read Lou and the Sons of Turin in episode 2 of Live Irish Myths, 233 episodes ago, on the second day of the beginning of the pandemic in Ireland in March of 2020. We're reading a different version this time. If you're watching on YouTube, please do subscribe to the channel, ring the notifications bell so you get notified when we're live streaming. Also, like the video, it helps. If you're on Facebook and on YouTube, please do feel free to comment and chat and join in the conversation, because that is and always has been a critical component of these live streams. And indeed, the greeting everybody at the beginning was something that we did from day one during the pandemic. It seems to have helped people feel part of a community when they were isolated. And so we've continued doing that. So if you're watching this back on YouTube and you don't want to listen to 20 minutes of greetings and saying hello to people, just use the fast forward feature. It's really simple. Elaine Dent-Lingenfelter is first in the house tonight, and she's telling us it's 100 Fahrenheit in Texas. A nice cool 99 F/37. Sorry, below 100 F. Wow. Sandra Boothroyd is saying, evening, another wonderful insight to your brilliance and knowledge. I wouldn't go that far. I don't remember some of this stuff, and not a scholar, just a bit of an enthusiast, we should say. Sandra, it's great to see you. And speaking of Texas, because I know there are other Texans watching. I may have shown you this before. I mean, the wheels are broken on my chair. I need to get a new office chair. It's high on the priority list. Yep, it's a Lone Star State t-shirt. Thank you, Elaine Dent-Lingenfelter, who tends to be the first commenter on all the live streams these days. I can picture you, Elaine. You're just sitting there waiting for the start. Anyway, thank you for the t-shirt. With the weather the way it's been, I haven't had much opportunity to wear it. It's been raining almost incessantly here. Who else am I saying hello to? Spike Willow is in the house. Good evening to you. Sláinte. Kathy May Deo is on vacation. So that means she gets to watch from the beginning this week, not just join us at a certain point when she gets her lunch break. Well, that's brilliant, Kathy May. Glad you're able to enjoy the whole stream this week. Wayne Bird is in the house. Wayne, a very good evening to you. Great to see you on in the comment bar. That sounds like a place where you go to comment and you also have a couple of drinks. Not that kind of bar. John Main is saying Banachty on Tua from a Polyzesty Crete. 38 today and possibly highly expected through Wednesday, but no fires here, thank the gods. Yeah, where are the fires in Rhodes, is it? Good evening to you, John. You're very welcome. And finally, you're getting the weather that you've been looking for years. There we go. Johnny Wilson is saying hello from Dallas in Texas. Hope you're well, Johnny. Good afternoon to you. And Scott Doherty is joining us and gives everyone a warm welcome, especially to the newcomers. Absolutely right. And we've had a lot of newcomers in the Mythical Ireland community in the last couple of weeks. So if you happen to be watching for the first time, you're very welcome to the live stream. Snapper Earl made it. Yes. Hello and welcome back. Good evening to you, Trononoa. Joe Butler is saying, hello, Anthony to Colorado is sunny and hot, under 100F. Sympathy to those in extremely hot weather. I wonder what we'll be saying in December. Good afternoon from EP, Texas. El Paso, of course. So happy to be back for the live episode, says Lynn Foley. By the way, we broke our record for most consecutive days over 100F. It was 24. We're now at 38 days. Hoo-hoo. Hot stuff. Adrian O'Beglin is in the house. Good evening to you, Adrian. I hope you're keeping well. Helen Hirsch Chatter is in the Black Hills of South Dakota. Yes, South Dakota, isn't it? Hello, good afternoon to you, Helen. Great to see you in the library. Howdy, says Rex Fortenberry from a frigid Louisiana at 34 Celsius. Well, don't be getting too boastful now because it's probably about 19 here in Ireland, possibly even less right now. Ah, it's 15 Celsius here. What am I talking about? So, yeah. Oh, the sun's... Do you know what's happening there now? The sun has started to retreat. It's not shining directly onto the camera, just onto the edge of the camera there. So summer is turning. Let's just put it that way. A lot of people will be happy about that, but if you've been in Ireland for the past few weeks, it's been raining non-stop. David Powderly, thanks for the Fornox tour on Saturday. David, thank you for coming along. It was great to see you. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I certainly did. And one of the things that I really loved about the Fornox tours on Saturday was the participation, all the questions and comments, which was lovely. So thank you. And yeah, glad you enjoyed it. Very special monument, isn't it? Very, very beautiful place. It's a nice, cool day with a little drizzle in Newcastle, Washington State, after 4 weeks of no rain. Well, I'm sure that's very welcome, Kathy May. Gemma McGowan says, I'm on time this evening. A wizard is never late. Gemma, it's a great pleasure to see you. And of course, Gemma would be one of the closest viewers in geographical terms. Some of you watching from different continents. Gemma is based right here in the Boyne Valley, where right now the sun is shining. And that's a good thing because we've seen a lot of grey skies the last while. Adina Sparks is in the house. Another hot day in New Mexico. Good afternoon to you, Adina. Paul McFeely is saying, it's how many toes I have. Are you lactose intolerant? No, I'm not sure what that means. But good evening. Welcome. Arc Astronomy Database is in the house. Glad to be here as always. Brilliant stuff. And of course, Ty, you are very welcome. Hu Gadarn. I don't know how to pronounce that. Is it Hu or Hugh? I'm not sure. Hu Gadarn. Who is Gadarn? Who is Hu Gadarn? Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Connor. I mean, why make it ostentatious? I mean, a single name is fine. Connor, you're very welcome. Is that Conor McGregor, is it? He'll probably box the head off us if we misbehave. Judith Word is saying, great video. Well, you ain't seen nothing yet, Judith, because we haven't started the story yet, so hopefully you'll enjoy that too. Arvin Gaunt is in the house. Hello there. Good evening to you. Tom King is saying, hello, Anthony the Mighty, to a lovely day had by all at the Myths and Metal gig. Thanks to one and all who made the stout journey to the Forge of the Smooth Road. We all had a ball. We certainly did. Great fun was had by all the participants. Jacqueline Kelly Adams is saying, Sláinte, my friend from the eastern part of Oregon. Cooler today. Good stuff. Hello again, Jackie. Hope you are in good form. Diederik Ship is looking for a link from Mr. Database. Arceus Ty, I think Diederik, is that how you say it? Is looking for something. Kerry Keegan is in West Fulton, New York. Good afternoon to you, Kerry. Hope you're keeping well. Thank you for joining us on Live Versions. Mariana Dunn is joining us in Alexandria, in Virginia, where it's supposed to be heading towards 100 degrees here by the end of the week. I tell you, you could all give us a degree or two. We'll take a few, and we'll take a few off you, so you can be a bit cooler and we can be a bit warmer. Yes, there we go. Arc Astronomy Database has the answer to the question that I was supposed to give you the answer to ages ago, but that is correct. 235. Moon cycles, yes, 235 synodic lunar months in a Montonic cycle, a 19-year cycle, or 254 tropical or sidereal months. But that's well answered there, Ty. You know your stuff. Owen Roy Badzek is in the house where it's cooler here in the UK. Brilliant stuff. It's Motlum. Yeah, I can imagine, especially if you have been experiencing a bit of heat. And Diedrich is saying, good evening. Yeah, you're very, very welcome. And hopefully you will get the answer to your question. Hallie B04, is that Halle Berry? I suspect that there are some celebrities, some big names. I think Robert De Niro watches live Irish Myths. Oh, the sun is actually coming around there now. But it won't be long. I can see where it is. It's not going to be long. Not too many days before it disappears. It won't be visible in the evening like that. Been absent for a few weeks, visiting grandchildren. Great to be back. Sue. Well, that's not the real Halle Berry, but Sue, thank you for coming back anyway. And a hello to you. Brendan Byrne is in the house, waiting for the sky to open. I bumped into a tourist from Australia today. What did I say? Australia. And asked them why a koala bear wasn't koala. You have cola, and I'm doubting myself. A koala bear isn't a real bear. They told me it didn't have the qualifications. I like it. That's right up my alley. Guido Bruce is saying hello. Good evening from Sweden. Very good evening. That's not your home patch, Guido. You must be on holidays, but absolutely delighted to see you and hope you're having a good time up there. And Diederik tells us he's in Hoorn in Holland. Good evening to all our viewers in the Netherlands. Alva Kelly is saying, looking forward to more mythology. Yes, indeed. Let's get to it. And let me shut up talking. Quickly, just lots of people talking to each other. Martin Hodgins. Hello, Martin. Sláinte. And good evening. Henry Macaulay is catching you live at last. Brilliant stuff. Henry, welcome to episode 235. Welcome to Live Irish Myths. Join us. Make yourself comfortable. Pour yourself a cup of tea and put those feet up and relax for the next while. Teresa Collins, Ihawa Akarja, August 2 Fain. Teresa, glad to see you. Barbara Murphy sneaking in a little bit late. There's no such thing as late. There are people who join us just before we say goodbye, an hour and a half into the live stream with, hello, good evening, everyone. It's like, so you're not late. Absolutely not. And better late than never in any case. Elaine is saying, I'm here when you come on because I do my PC bail bond work from home. Brilliant. That's rather convenient, isn't it? I like that. Yeah. Samantha Healy is in the house. Good evening, Samantha. Welcome back, should I say. Natasha, is it Royst? Says, hi, everyone. Well, you're very welcome. Good evening, good afternoon to you, wherever you are watching. And it's great to see you. Lol, that's me. I'm on the Isle of Wight, says Hu Godarn. Well, brilliant. I hope it's nice. I hope the weather's nice down there. I'm sure it is. By the way, is your dog Cody a spluter? What is a spluter? Coda, Koda. If you're talking to me. What's a spluter? Please explain. I do not know the meaning of that. Anne. Michal Omar is saying, why is there no information on the son-in-law of Brian Boru, Cian? Don't know. Can't immediately answer that question. Anya Ryan is in the house. Good evening, Anya. Thank you for joining us as always. Great to see you. Sotanar has joined us. Trinonawa Sotanar, thank you for saying hello. Helen Horn Mihilarakis is in Palm Coast in Florida. Good afternoon to you, Helen. You're very welcome. Thank you, and apologies about my probably very poor pronunciation of your name. Gordon Farrell is joining us. Gordon, good evening to you. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure, my friend. The sun is peeping out in the Carlingford area, says Samantha. Ooh, yes, as it is here in the Boyne Valley. And Elizabeth Champagne is saying hello from a rainy Westcott Canadian day. Great break from the heat blast. Glad to hear it. And if you can take a bit of it off us, because we've had enough, enough already, Anyway, yeah, we had a blast at Myth and Metal yesterday at the Forge of the Smooth Road, Bohermeen, Schliashel, one of the great roads leading to the Hill of Tara in ancient times. And the rain did not deter us from having an enjoyable day. It was a wonderful pleasure to meet Daniel Fagan in particular, who, if you're on the Mythical Ireland community on Facebook, you will undoubtedly have seen many of Daniel's photographs over the last number of years. And he's a wonderful photography. It was great to meet him and his companions. And we had a blast. It was also a pleasure to meet... oh, don't do this. I just did it. Just at the critical moment, it's gone out of my head. I can see his face. I can hear the songs that he was singing. And the name has just completely dropped out of... Anyway, it'll come back in a moment. So keep an eye out for future announcements on that front. Myth and Metal will return. We're just not sure when yet. Perhaps in August, maybe in September. So keep an eye out for that. And I'm actually looking for the name because I'm so annoyed at myself. How could I possibly... It's just completely blanked. Anyway. Yes, Fergal. Surname? Canton. Yes. Oh. Fergal Canton, who is also a regular Mythical Ireland community participant and contributor. Anyway, let's get to it. Don't forget, as always, if you want to support Mythical Ireland, consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/Mythical Ireland. You can help the mission by supporting us for as little as $1 or $2 a month, but you'd be better off chucking in a $5 a month or a $10 a month because you'll actually get something for that. And at a $10 a month, actually, that's the real sort of where the real value begins, because the $10 a month patrons at the Bronze Age level are getting page by page my book in progress, the Segish Companion, but they also get exclusives, like for instance the cover of the Fornox monograph. So only the patrons at the Bronze Age level and above are able to see what that's going to look like, because I haven't shared it with anyone else at this moment in time. And lots of other things, photographs and podcasts. There's a podcast there that I recorded a couple of weeks ago, videos, etc., etc. So please consider supporting Mythical Ireland. You may know that July the 1st was my first day of self-employment, full-time self-employment. I have, having left my full-time journalism career, which lasted for 30 years, to pursue Mythical Ireland. Anyway, we are, as I said in the introduction, if you read it, and in the publicity for tonight's episode, we're reading a version of Oidhe Chloinne Tuireann, which is the fate of the Children of Tuireann. This one, translated by Richard O'Duffy, and published, edited actually by the Society for the Preservation of the Irish Language, and published by Gill and Son, O'Connell Street, Dublin in 1901. So there is a version that we read on episode 2, as I mentioned earlier, which is probably, I imagine, the Squire version or something similar. So this is a different version. I was calculating earlier how many pages of text I will be reading, and it looks like it's going to be a 4-part reading. So don't get too excited tonight. You're not going to hear the full story tonight. You're just going to hear the first, hopefully, of 4 parts. Grace Walker is saying, blessings from New York. Good afternoon to you, Grace. Thank you for joining us. It is always a pleasure. Brendan would love to see a world map with a pin showing where everyone lives. And it's raining. Wow. Hasn't rained all day. After all the rain we've had, I thought maybe there'd be just one day where we didn't get any, and it's raining. Oh well, there goes that. I know some of you are jealous. The fate of the Children of Tuireann here set down. The wonderful thing about this, now, this is one of these facsimile reprints that is bound in this beautiful hardback cover with the gold inlay writing and flourishes. Really beautifully done. I think I ordered it online from a company in India. Yeah. A facsimile publisher based in Delhi in India. But the rest of it is a facsimile reprint. It's basically exactly the same as the original. And the wonderful thing is that the first section is the tale Ascaiga in Irish. Oidhe Chloinne Tuireann an Choshias. Re Shukrach, etc., etc. And I can't read that because it's the old script and it would take me too long. But so you can compare the text of you can find out what the Irish version is basically. You can find out what the Irish words were that were translated into the English. Gracious, here we go. There's Daniel Fagan now. I was talking about you a few minutes ago, Daniel. What a great pleasure it was to finally actually meet you face to face. And thank you for the photographs. And we had a ball. I think a lot of people had most people, all people had a great time. And the sing-song at the end, I mean, all that was missing there was the pints of stout, and it could have been a long old evening, just put it that way. But great to see you anyway, and just to meet you for the first time. Kathleen Glassley is in California. Good afternoon to you, Kathleen. Thanks for joining us. Samantha is excited about 4 parts. Brilliant stuff. Yes. We'll try to leave you on something of a cliffhanger this evening so that you'll want to come back next week. Gracious freeborn king, who was surnamed, A Gracious, because look, see, it's the big letter A Gracious. A gracious freeborn king who was surnamed Nuada Ariagodlov. It's the way it's spelled. It's still slightly unusual. Airgiodlamh. Ariagodlov. Son of Achtach, son of Ederlov, son of Ordain, son of Alloi, Allaoi, Alloi, took sovereignty and possession over the beautiful complexioned Tuatha. And it so happened that the king had one arm of silver and his doorkeeper one eye. Sharon O'Farrell is in the house. Good evening to you, Sharon. Sharon was at the first Myth and Metal in June and was talking about wanting to come back again. That's how much she enjoyed it. Sharon, you're very, very welcome. One day, upon which that young man went out from the ramparts of Tara, he saw approaching him on the plain 2 handsome, young, and well-formed persons. And they greeted him, and they got similar salutation. Hello there. And the doorkeeper asked tidings of them. What place have you come from, O ye young and noble-formed persons? We are good physicians, they replied. Where have you come from? We're good doctors. Not exactly the answer to the question. If ye are, said he, will ye put an eye into the place of my own eye? This is the one-eyed doorkeeper. I myself could put the eye of that cat in your lap into the place of your eye, quoth one of them. Oh, yes. Anyway, quoth, Quoth, 1901. Said, in plain English. I would be glad of that, says the doorkeeper. And forthwith they put the eye of the cat into the place of the eye of the young man. The marvels of ancient medicine. Transplants, long before transplants were done. Irish technical thinkers in the house. Good evening to you, Marcus. How are you keeping? I hope you're well. That substitute was both convenient and inconvenient to him. For when he desired to take sleep or repose, then the eye would start at the squeaking of the mice, the flying of the birds, and the motion of the reeds. But when he desired to watch a host or an assembly, then it is that he would be in deep repose and sleep. Wow, yeah. It's not all that good to have a cat's eye in your head, you know. Yeah, so the Irish words there are slua for host and orachtas for an assembly, and that is what our modern parliament is called in Ireland, the Oireachtas. And he went in and told the king that good physicians had come to Tara. For, says he, they have put the eye of a cat into the place of my eye. One moment, please, folks. I need to get myself a cushion to support my back. My back's a bit bent the way I'm sitting. Apologies. I do apologize. Oh. Now then. Or later then. Yes, for they have put the eye of a cat into the place of my eye. Bring them in, says the king. And as they came in, they heard a fearful and piteous sigh. Said Miach, one of the physicians, I hear the sigh of a warrior. Said Ormiach, the other, see that it is not the sigh of a warrior over a dale, which is blackening him on one side. That's Daol. Then the king was brought out of the place where he was, and they examined him. And one of them drew out the arm from his side. And out of it there bounded throughout the fortress a dale, and the household arose and killed it. What is this word, dale? I've no doubt that I've looked it up before and I just can't remember. Bear with me for a moment while I use this search facility, which is not giving me the results that I want. Yes, I'm not quite sure what a dale is. Is that some sort of a demon or something? Maybe somebody on the stream can help us. One of our scholars. We do, thankfully, we have a lot of scholars who watch. Dale, Daol. Yeah, that's really weird because that's not coming up in the dictionary of the Irish language. Let me have a look at a modern dictionary. See if there's an entry. A beetle. Beetle, as black as a beetle, jet black. An insect or worm. And there's another meaning there, which is a sharp sting, a sudden start, a fit, or a whim. So there you go. A Daol, Daol. I'll just take a note here so that the next time I read it, I won't be mystified. Beetle, insect, worm. And Meach sought another arm of equal length and thickness to give to him. And all the Tuatha Dé Danann were sought, but there was not found amongst them an arm which would suit him, but that of Moan, the swineherd, the pig herder. Seems to have been an important job in its time, because there are lots of stories about swineherds or pig keepers. How the bulls were begotten. The story of the two pig keepers is a remscale, or is it what would you call it? A prologue to, or a four story to Oidhe Chloinne. Yeah, that's true, Barbara. I know exactly. I need to use it several times in different sentences before I'll actually ever be able to remember it. So I'm presuming at this point, the king had told the two physicians to come in, and one of them said that they heard a sigh of a warrior, and the other said, I hope it's not the sigh of a warrior over a Daol, which is blackening him on one side. I wonder, is a Daol also, beetle, insect, worm, but some sort of a curse or something that would cause the person to go, to go dark. So they're talking about Nuada, who has an arm made of silver. And Meach sought another arm of equal length and thickness to give to him. And all the Tuatha Dé Danann were sought, and there was not found amongst them an arm which would suit him, but that of Moan, the swineherd. Would the bones of his arm suit ye? They inquired. That is what we would prefer, they replied. And accordingly, a person set out for it, and brought it back with him to Tara, and it was given to Meach. Meach said to Oidhe, whether it is your pleasure to set the arm, or to go in search of herbs for the purpose of putting flesh upon it, full stop. Maybe this made sense in 1901, but it doesn't make sense now. Whether it is your pleasure to set the arm, or to go in search of herbs for the purpose of putting flesh upon it. End of sentence. Anyway, we get the gist. He replied, I prefer to set the arm. Fair enough. Nothing like a bit of decisiveness. Perhaps something like a flu or a bug in medicine terminology, or a plague. Yeah. Thereupon, apologies, Meach went to seek herbs and brought them back with him, and then the arm was set. Here is how this king was situated. The Fomorians had imposed, during his time, upon the Tuatha Dé Danann a very heavy rent tribute. That is to say, a tax upon the kneading trough, a tax upon the quern, and a tax upon the baking flags. Also, an ounce of gold for every nose of the Tuatha Dé Danann upon the hill of Ishnach upon the west side of Tara. Fascinating stuff here. I have to stop here now for a minute. Martin Smith, good evening to you. Welcome to Live Irish Myths. You're very welcome. Come in and grab yourself a cup of tea and make yourself comfortable. I love the way they here describe the hill of Ishnach as being upon the west side of Tara, as if it was nearby and easily visible. The hill of Ishnach is a long way west of Tara. It is in the middle of the country. Yes, a good few miles away, probably an hour's journey. Let me just see where that is in terms of. I just wondered if I could find what it says. Sure, look, no point in going up over the Irish too much. I'll only get myself sidetracked and go down lots of rabbit holes and go off on tangents. And I know how he's all like that. Niamh Goodall is saying, this is very amusing. I hope you were suitably amused on Saturday at our Four Knocks tours. Especially the bits where I was actually cracking some humour. Yeah. Yes. There's a bit where I closed the door of Four Knocks. When we go inside, I close the door behind everyone, and then I announce that there's a €20 fee to get out again. That usually gets a kind of a nervous laugh, to be honest. People laugh and then they go, "Oh shit, is he serious? Is he looking for money to get out of here?" Yes, to rabbit holes, says Barbara Murphy. Yeah. So anyway, they're talking here about, of course, the fact that when Nuadu was injured in the first battle of Moytura and had his arm chopped off, because he had a blemish, he had to step down as king of the Tuatha Dé Danann, and the Tuatha Dé Danann chose in his place Bress, not realizing at the time that he was half Fomorian, half Tuatha Dé Danann, and well, his reign wasn't very impressive, and in particular, the Tuatha Dé Danann complained that their breaths did not smell of ale, and that their knives had not been greased, because hospitality was a huge part of what. Well, it was a huge part of life, obviously, at the time, and Bress was not very hospitable, but also imposed upon the Dé Dananns taxes and lots of menial tasks. And they extorted that tribute yearly, and the man who refused it, his nose was cut off from his head. Nasty. One day that a fair was assembled by the king of Eire on the hill of Balor. Balar, it's spelled here, Balar, which is now called Uisneach. It so happened that they were not long there when they saw an army and a goodly host coming towards them directly from the east. And in the vanguard, there was one young man in authority over all. High in authority over all, no less. So we here learn upon, that there was some sort of it says here, a fair assembled by the King of Ireland upon the hill of Balor, which was an old name for the hill of Uisneach, which is interesting, because I'm wondering whether this isn't a reference to one of those Énochs, the Énigi, the old Énochs, like the Énoch of Tailteann and Carmon, and the Énoch in Broga, which is the Énoch of Brunabonia. Let me just go. I want to check. I want to go down this rabbit hole for a moment. I do, if I can, okay. Let me see. Where does 5 begin? Where does 4 begin? Miach said, just looking for this Cnoch or Mullach Ishni. An taobh Shir do Chowri. Apologies. I'm looking for this thing about Uisneach and Balor, and in particular the reference to the assembly, the fair. Oh, this is shocking. I should just read and stop. Cnoch Balor. Lá der Comoro, Énoch le rí Éireann, Cnoch Balor. Énoch. There you go. There's the word Énoch. The Énoch of Uisneach. Well, the Énoch of Cnochán Balor. So there you go. We should be looking for, and I know that there is archaeological investigation of Uisneach in recent times, but we should be looking for some late Neolithic henges there, I presume. Balor and Balar, yes, they're variant spellings of the same name, Marcus, exactly. Balor and Balar, you'll, as with all Irish names and proper nouns, the spelling varies. Anyway, so the Éanach had been assembled by the King of Ireland upon Uisneach, which is fascinating, because if you think about it, the Feis Teamhridh, which is the once every 3 year Éanach or assembly at Tara, was the one that was commissioned or what's the word? It was the one that was organised by the High King. It's interesting that it says here that the King of Ireland should hold an assembly on the hill of Balor or Uisneach. It seems that Tara and Uisneach share so many attributes, leading them to be described in one text as two kidneys in the same beast. Anyway, I digress. I'm getting lost down rabbit holes here. It so happened that they were not long there when they saw an army and a goodly host coming towards them directly from the east. And in the vanguard there was one young man, high in authority over all. And like to the setting sun was the radiance of his face and forehead. You've probably heard this before. And they were unable to gaze upon his countenance on account of its splendour. And this is who it was. Lú Lámhfhada Lun Bhéimeanach, and the fairy cavalcade from the land of promise. Now that is undoubtedly a poor translation of the slua or the she. Let me have a look. Yeah. Agus an Marcra Shia S-I for the O-D-H-A O Tir Tarngere. And that is the land of promise. And Lou has another epithet because he's Lou Lámhfhada, Lou of the long arm, Lou Samil Donach, Lou the many gifted, Lou Machethnan, Lou the son of Ethna. And here he has this other name, Lú Lámhfhada Lun Bhéimeanach. I'm going to quickly. So that's undoubtedly a compound word. Loinn. Is it Loan or Lun? Lun Bhéimeanach. We're totally down a rabbit hole here, by the way, if you hadn't. Now, I presume that is related to the word Lonn, which means fierce, strong, violent, vehement, eager, bold, irascible, angry. Yeah, and I'm taking notes here. I know this is terrible. How dare I do this in the middle of a live episode, right? And what is the other component? It's lenited, presumably because it's a part of a compound, but without the H. B-E for the I-M-I-O-N-N-A-C-H. Bhéimeanach. Anybody care to? Any of our scholars? No. Brendan says there's a bite gone out of the carrot. Yeah. B for the I-M. Let me see. You can't always be guaranteed that the modern rendition of that word would be B-E for the I-M. It might be B-E for the M. It might be B-E for the A-M. So that can make things hard to find. Bhéimeanach. Striking. That's the one. Striking or smiting. So Lun is, what did we say? Lun is strong, vehement, etc., etc. Let me just. back here. Lun, fierce, strong. Fierce, strong. That's dil.ie 30660. And then Beimnach is probably the earlier variant of the modern Irish word Beimnach, striking or smiting. Strong smiting. Oh, which is interesting because that actually sounds a bit like the name for Balor, which is Balor of the mighty blows. Spot on, says Martin. Brilliant stuff. Yeah, that's interesting that Helen should mention Siri is spontaneously taking notes. My phone, a short time ago, thought I was asking it a question and started to search for answers. Like, no. So, Lou, love for the... Lou, sorry, I'm reading in the Irish here. Lou love for the Lun Béimeanach, which literally means Lou of the long arm, strong smiting. Yeah, I like that. The strong smiting, long-armed Lou. It's probably a better, easier way to say it. Wow. And the fairy cavalcade. Well, I don't like that translation. Marcra. Marcra. Is that like a march? The march of the she? Marcra. Oh, it's literally horsemen or cavalry. I'm going to write that on the Irish. Marcra. And of course, Shia, which is not silk. It's the other. Yeah. The viewership has probably dropped fantastically because people are saying, this is Jesus, will you just read the story and stop fluting around? But this is what happens to me when I get into this stuff. This is exactly how I do it. I start to look at the Irish and look at where the English version is being translated and where there might be a better option. Like, for instance, that very valuable one. You know, the famous episode of Tough Mark Etain when Midger is injured at Brunabonia when somebody throws a sprig of holly at him. And it turns out that a better translation of that word burr or burr is a spear. Sure, a sprig of holly wouldn't knock the eye out of your head, but a spear definitely would. Anyway, I think I'm getting to... yeah, but that basically means the cavalry from the She. From the mounds, in other words, you know. From the land of promise. So I'll read that again. And this is who it was. Lou love for the Lun Béimeanach of the fairy cavalcade, or the cavalry from the She. From the land of promise. And there we go again. So I haven't even finished reading the sentence and I'm getting distracted again. So we hear about the cavalcade or the cavalry coming from the She mounds. And I always say that the She mounds should be seen as portals. And here's another example of it, because it specifically says that the cavalcade from the She is coming from the land of promise. They are able to migrate between their world and our world, but we're not able to. It's a two-way opening for the Tuireann, but it's only, of course, a one-way path for the human, you know. Apparently, Marcus says, we're here for this. I hope you're enjoying it. I really do. Desiree and Amadeus are in the house, apparently. Peter Kennedy, Holly has sharp spikes that could scratch the retina off your eye. But a sprig wouldn't knock the eye out of your head so that you're carrying it in your hand, which is what happened to Midger, would it? Peter, do you think? I don't think so. But yeah, look, I think it was a poor translation myself. He shoots, he scores. Who scored? You are giving emphasis to my desire to own dictionaries that are published about every 40 years. The word's meanings change over time. I'm always, especially when I get really into looking at how something has been translated, I will look at as many dictionaries as possible. Porrick O'Comiskey. Oh, don't give away the story, Porrick. We haven't got to that bit yet, but yes, absolutely. I'd love to go out to Killen Hill with you at some point. Yes, indeed, I will. Desiree Riley, hello there, and Amadeus. Woof, woof, woof. Coda was very vocal today and is suddenly very quiet. So I don't know what's going on there, but hopefully he'll say hello before too long. Every day is a school day, and it's 5 to 9. And I've only read about 4 pages, and I have to read 17 pages if we're to get through this. But anyway, and his own foster brothers, namely the clan Manannán, that is to say, Scuch Glegiel, the son of Manannán, and Rawach Slochin, and Glegiel Garv, and Goithne Gormsulach, blue-eyed, and Sinjarg, and Donald Dunrua. Dunrua, Dun is like brown, and Rua is like ruddy. Yeah, I'll follow this up later. I'm not going to distract you too much. And Aid MacAhal and Lual Lawfather was thus accoutred. We might say attired. This is how he appeared. He had the Aenvar of Manannán under him, which was as swift as the bleak, cold wind of spring, and sea and land were equal to her, and her rider was not killed off her back. That is, Aenvar is the horse of Manannán. The armour of Manannán encased him. When I say horse, because she's identified as female, of course, mare. The armour of Manannán encased him, by which he could not be wounded under, over, nor through it, and the breastplate of Manannán upon the ridge of his breast and bosom, so that weapons would not take effect on it, the kafar around his head, protecting it, having in the back a very beautiful, precious stone, and 2 of them in the front. And when kafar, Cathbarr, was let off him, the appearance of his face and forehead was as brilliant as the sun on a dry summer's day. And Fragarhach, that is the sword of Manannán over his left side. And of course, Fragarhach translates as the answerer. And one was never wounded with it that would come alive from it. In other words, if you were struck by it, it would kill you. End of story. And that sword never was unsheathed in the place of battle or combat, in which there would be but the strength of a woman left in the person who saw it or who was opposed to it. And speaking of big swords, we saw the Claymore sword that Tom King is working on at the forge yesterday. A mighty, mighty piece of work. A huge sword. Very, very long. And what a fantastic piece of work. Congratulations, Tom. I know it's not finished, but certainly so far looks fabulous. Brilliant stuff, Porrig. I look forward to that. Really do look forward to that. That'll be brilliant. Josie Weatherford is in the house. And you're very welcome back, Josie, of course. I was in Donegal for about 3 weeks. That sounds lovely. Yes. Dun equals brown and Dun equals fort. Yes. So Dun Rua. Brown ruddy, ruddy brown. Desiree is even more happy that I still have 10 pages to read. Yeah. Oh. Not good. Cramp. We interrupt this live broadcast. That was not a joke. My leg cramped very badly. And I did exactly as Kathy May was saying there. I got up and walked around. Right at the top of the back of my left thigh, close to the buttock, really cramped very tightly. And that's why I went back like that and put my leg out straight to try and get it to uncramp. If it happens again, I will just end the stream and come back tomorrow night because I wouldn't be able to continue, to be honest. Yeah. So one thing I just wanted to say to people in relation to cramps, and now I've taken the cushion off the chair, the cushion that I was sitting on. Hopefully that will improve things. Just bear with me while I make a slight adjustment to the camera. One of the things that I noticed was over the years, I suffered from muscle cramps. Sometimes when I had done a lot of exercise when I was younger. When I was younger, I did a lot of running, believe it or not. And if I did a lot of running, sometimes my legs would cramp quite badly. But actually, I eventually made a connection with something. And this might surprise you, but it is the case for me and may not be the case for others. Caffeine. It's one of the reasons I can't drink coffee. There's two reasons that I can't drink coffee. One is that caffeine gives me anxiety. And two is that if I drink coffee, actually there's three things it does. Second is that it induces vertigo if I have too much caffeine, and too much would be if I had 3 strong coffees, one a day for 3 days in a row, that would be enough. But the third one is the cramping of muscles, especially the leg muscles. And I've noticed over the past 5 to 10 years, I don't drink coffee. I tend not to drink caffeinated coffee. If I drink coffee, I drink decaf. But it still does happen occasionally. Sometimes just from doing too much sitting, because a lot of what I do is writing and desk-based, so I do a lot of sitting. But just in case there are any of you watching, I know it's not that embarrassing to talk about. Let's be honest. We should share our ailments in the hope that maybe we inspire and help others to resolve their issues. But as I say, the caffeine is a big no-no for me. If I was drinking coffee regularly, I would be getting cramps regularly, and that could happen any time of the day, sitting or standing. And at night time, when you're sleeping, it's no fun to have a bad leg cramp in the middle of the night and to have to try and work it out for half an hour. I made the connection about 12 years ago, around 12 years ago. I was at a function and I ordered a coffee after the meal. And they gave me an Americano, and it was quite a strong one. It was like tar, and I drank it and I enjoyed it. But very shortly afterwards, just like that, in the company of others, I flung my leg out straight and shouted, "Ah!" And people were saying, "What's wrong with you?" And I said, "Oh, a very bad cramp in my leg." And I actually found it difficult to drive home that night because I was driving. I wasn't drinking, obviously, apart from coffee. And I was worried that my leg would cramp while I was driving. Now it was my left leg again, so it would only have affected the clutch. It's not that it was my right leg, and it might affect the accelerator. But anyway, let me see what people are saying. Look, it is what it is. Possible magnesium deficiency, says Gemma. Potassium will help, says Marcus. Adrian says the most embarrassing part is it's recorded. It is what it is. Definitely need a new chair, says Rex. Yeah, that is definitely part of the problem. This one has become much less movable because some of the wheels are broken on it. Elaine says, do not ever scare me like that again. Okay, Scout's honor. Yeah. I hope a redbreast is at hand, says Wayne. Actually, that's another thing. Although I enjoy a dram, I couldn't drink much whiskey because it actually dehydrates you, and dehydration is definitely an issue when it comes to cramping, which is why I'm drinking water now to hope that helps. Kathy May, happens to me sometimes. Yeah. It's just it's so sudden, and it's a very, very vicious, sharp pain. It's extremely painful, or it can be, depending on which part of you is cramping. I've even gotten cramps in the sole of my feet, where my toes want to curl downwards. It's like one of the connecting muscles or tendons, cramps and all of that. When we wanted a rabbit hole, we didn't expect Anthony to fall down. Too much sitting can cause major blood clots, and that's a good point, Elaine, because that is actually, believe it or not, one of the factors in my decision to quit full-time newspaper work, because my full-time newspaper work required me to sit here all day, every day. And one of the reasons that I'm doing more tours with Mythical Ireland is because that is a physical activity. It gets me out and about. It gets me walking. It's important, you know. It would have been a disaster if your sudden leg movement had affected the accelerator. Yeah, I know. But I suppose you could compensate by pressing on the clutch. But anyway, on the bright side, you'll get cash for that tape from You've Been Framed. Not sure if the American viewers know what You've Been Framed is, but or was a British show presented by the late great comedian Jeremy Beadle, in which they basically showed embarrassing clips that people had recorded on home video. They don't need it now because it's all on TikTok and Instagram, you know. Amadeus was so concerned, he looked disapprovingly at TV, then got up. Breakfast that he failed to eat this morning. I can't drink the bean water either. Made a girl at work cry last time I did several years ago. Never drank it at all after that. Some people are not meant for stimulants like that. Yeah, I can't. As I say, caffeine for me, although I enjoy a coffee, I can't drink much of it. Rub a bit of poachine on it, says Connor. Well, I would if I had some. Yeah. Magnesium and potassium deficiencies being suggested as possible causes. Anyway, I will try to continue where I left off. Still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, oh my god, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pages to read. 11 pages to read. Your knees need to be lower than your hips. That will help. Yeah. At the moment, I'm comfortable. If it happens again and I disappear and I turn the video off, I just wanted to save the embarrassment of you seeing me in excruciating pain. I'll just finish the live stream and we'll come back tomorrow evening. Anyway, in the meantime, let us pick up where we left off. Where did we leave off is the question. Yes, so the Fraggerhuck, the Answerer, the Sword of Manannán. Then the troop came where the king of Éire was, and also the Tuatha Dé Danann, and they welcomed one another. And short was the time they were there when they saw a grim and ill-looking band advancing towards them, numbering 9 times 9 of the stewards of the Fomorians, who were coming to seek the rent and the tribute of the men of Éire. Wonderful, the landlord coming to collect his dues. You know. Michael Pike is in the house. Hello, Michael. Glad you missed the foregoing. Bananas contain more potassium per ounce than anything else. Magnesium baths definitely will help your muscles. Wear dark glasses. How would that help, Martin? I'm not sure, but anyway. Where were you when we needed you? The most dramatic Mythical Ireland episode yet. Hitchcock moment. Yes, indeed. So the Fomorians were coming to Uisneach, where the Tuatha Dé Danann were, to extract tribute. Here are the names of the 4 who are the most fierce and cruel of them, viz. Aine, E-I-N-E, Afai, E-A-T-H-F-A-I-T-H, Coron, C-O-R-O-N, and Compar, C-O-M-P-A-R. And fear would not permit one of the Tuatha Dé Danann to beat his own son or his foster son on account of the tyranny of these stewards. Well, I should hope you wouldn't be beating your sons or foster sons anyway. And they came to the very spot occupied by the king of Éire and the she cavalcade. And the king of Éire and all the Tuatha Dé Danann stood up before them. And Lugh Lawfotha asked of them, "Why did ye stand up before yonder grim and ill-looking band, and not arise before us?" Good question. "We are obliged to do that," replied the King of Eire, "for if there were a child of us of but 1 month old in a sitting posture before them, they would not deem it cause too little for slaying us." Wow. "I swear," said Lugh, "that a desire to kill them has come upon me." And with that, Lugh again said that a desire to slay them had come upon him. So he said it twice. "That is a thing that would result badly for us," interposed the King of Eire. "For through that action, we would receive our death and our destruction." "Long is it," said Lugh, "you are under this oppression." And he arose, slaughtered and disfigured them, until 8 times 9 of them were slain, presumably leaving 9, because there were 9 times 9 originally, and the other 9, just read it, Anthony, were allowed under the friendship and protection of the King of Eire. "I would also kill you," said Lugh, "but that I prefer you to go with tidings to the foreigners rather than my own ambassadors, lest they should receive dishonour." Then these 9 went forward until they arrived in Lochlan, where the Fomorian tribes were. The Fomorian tribe were. There's Coda now. "Hello, Amadeus. Are you listening?" Then these 9 went forward until they arrived in Lochlan, where the Fomorian tribe were. They told their news to them from first to last, and how the young and well-formed youth had come into Eire, and that all the stewards had been killed by him, but themselves. And the reason that he allowed us away is that we might relate the tidings to you. Balor said, "Do you know who he is?" "I know," replied Kellan. It's Kethlin, Ceithlionn. Modern pronunciation would be Kellan, the wife of Balor. Balar, it says here, but I'll say Balor because that's the spelling I'm used to. That person is a daughter, son of yours and mine, and it is a sign and an omen to us that when that person would come into Eire, that never again would we have power in Eire. Then the chiefs of the Fomorian tribe went into council, namely Eave, the grandson of Nej, and Shankal, the daughter of Nej, and Sutal Salvor, and Lual Lauracham, and Tinavor Truskabal, and Loshkin Lomgluanach, and Lua Lumnach, and Lovas, the druid, and Lealaur, the son of Lovas, together with 9 prophetic and learned poets and philosophers of the Fomorians, and Balor himself of the stout blows, and the 12 white-mouthed sons of Balor, and Kellan of the twisted teeth, Balor's queen. Which is fascinating. I'm just going to look up very briefly, what is the Irish for stout blows in relation to Balor? Is it similar to that Lum... what did we say? Lum Veimnach. Let me quickly look for that. Yeah. Balk Beimanach. Yeah. So it's kind of similar. Stout blows. Then Bress, it's here spelled B-R-E-A-S, sometimes spelled B-R-E-S. Then Bress, or Bress, son of Balor, said, "I and 7 valiant and immense battalions of the horsemen of the Fomorian tribe will go into Eire, and I will give battle to the Uldánach, that is Samaldánach, that is Lugh. And I will cut off his head, and I will bring it back with me to you upon the plain of the Lochlan Burb." "That would be a fitting thing for you to do," they replied. Then Bress said, "Let my ships and my swift barks be made ready for me, and let food and provisions be put into them." Then they quickly and actively handled the ships and his swift barks, and they put a full supply of food and drink into them for themselves, and they dispatched Lualinach and Lualavarcum to assemble his host for him. Presumably the barks are the smaller dugout boats, the ones that they would bring upriver, the ships being the ones for the sea journey. And when they bark, the bark of a tree, who knows? And when they had all assembled at the one spot, they prepared their accoutrements, their armour, and their weapons of valour, and they set forward to Éire. And Balor followed them to the harbour, and he said, "Give battle to the Uldornach, and cut off his head, and make fast that island which is called Éire to your ships and your good barks, and let the deep surrounding water take its place, and put it to the north of Lochlan, and not one of the Tuireann shall ever follow it there." Charles, who is Senholto, is watching on YouTube. Thank you for that comment. Nice to catch you on a live stream. I've been binge watching all your lockdown live streams recently. Excellent video libraries of Irish myth exploration. Well, thank you for that, Charles. Great to see you here. You're very welcome. And hopefully we'll see you regularly. Then their ships and their swift barks were pushed out from the harbour. Still have ages to go. Anyway, it's my own fault. And they filled them with pitch, frankincense, and myrrh. And they hoisted their sliding and variegated sails, and they made an united and eager stroke from the harbour and the shore port, out upon that land that is not ploughed, the expansive sea, the wonderful and cheerless abyss, and the ridge mounds of the flood, and over the high, humid, and very treacherous mountains of the truly deep ocean. And they ceased not from that sailing course until they made port and harbour in Astara. And they let free their hosts upon West Connacht, and they entirely devastated it. And he who was then king of Connacht was Bovjarug, son of the Dagda. And Lulawfather was at that time in Tara with the king of Éire, which is interesting because previous to this we've been told that the king of Éire was at Ishnok, or the hill of Balor. And it was manifested to him that the Fomorian tribe had come ashore at Astara, where Darajarug, a druid of the Fomorians, had fallen by the hand of Lulawfather. Just moving my leg here because I'm just conscious of hoping that it doesn't cramp again. And when Lu obtained these tidings, he prepared the Ainvar of Manannán at the junction of the day and night. And he went in where the king of Éire was, and he related to him that the foreigners had come ashore at Astara, and that they had plundered Bovjarug. And added he, "I would like to get aid from you, that I may give battle to them." I love that he prepared the steed at the junction of day and night, which is a lovely poetic way of saying at twilight. "I will not give you assistance," said the king, "for I will not go to avenge the deed that has not been done upon me," which is a little bit like when King Theoden refused initially to answer the call from Gondor for aid. When in Lord of the Rings, when Lulawfather heard that unfavourable reply, he mounted his steed and went west from Tara, and soon he perceived 3 warriors, viz., the 3 sons of Concha, armed and accoutred, coming towards him, and they greeted him. "Why this early rising?" they inquire. "Great is the occasion I have for it," answered Lu. "Foreigners have come into Éire, and Bovjarug, the son of the Dagda, has been plundered by them. And what help will you extend to me?" "Each man of us," they replied, "will ward off from thee in battle 100 men. "That is goodly help," said he, "but there is other help that I prefer to get, even than that from you, namely to assemble the fairy cavalcade to me from out every place where they are." And of course, again, that's the Slua She or the Markra She. So the She cavalcade is probably a better way of translating it. And I'm going down a rabbit hole here for a moment. Not like that. Hoping not with another cramp. Yeah, it's the same again. Markra Shia. Cu and Kehan departed southwards, and Cian set out in a northerly direction, and he rested not until he reached the plain of Murhevne. And he was traversing it, and he was upon it but a short time, when he saw 3 warriors, armed and equipped before him, moving along the plain. And these are the persons who were there, namely, the 3 sons of Turin, who were named Brian, Jocherba, and Jocher. Thanks for that, Michael Pike. And if anyone else is suffering from leg cramps, water, zinc, and magnesium supplements. I heard today, says Josie, that Enniskillen is named after Balor's wife, the island Inishkellen, or however it's spelt. Yeah, spelled a variety of ways. Yeah, brilliant stuff. The 3 sons of Concha and the 3 sons of Turin were, it appears, persons whose relations to one another were those of hatred and enmity. So much so that in whatever place they might chance upon each other, there would survive only that party who was the stronger. Then said Cian, were my 2 brothers here, the combat we would make would indeed be brave, but since they are not, I would be well advised in flying. In other words, he wasn't going to take them on single-handedly. And he saw a great herd of swine near him, and he struck himself with a druidical wand into the shape of one of the swine, and he fell to digging the earth, just as each of the other pigs did. Then Brian, the son of Turin, said, Brothers, did you see the warrior who was walking the plain a while ago? We saw him, they replied. What has taken him away? Said he. We do not know, they replied. It is unmindful on your part, he said, not to keep a good lookout in time of war over the plains and open countries. But I know what has taken him away, for he struck himself with a golden wand into the shape of one of yonder swine, and he is rooting the earth even as any of the other swine, and no friend is he to us. That is bad for us, said the other 2, for the swine belong to a certain person of the Tuatha, and should we kill all of them, it might happen that the druidical pig would, in the end, escape. Badly have you acquired your learning in the city of learning, said Brian, when you cannot distinguish a druidical beast from a natural beast. And just as he was saying that, he struck his own 2 brothers with a magic and druidical wand, and he made of them 2 slender fleet hounds, and they gave tongue ravenously upon the trail of the druidical pig. It was not long until all the swine fled but her alone. And she saw a wooded grove and made towards it, and as she went through the wood, Brian made a cast of his spear at her, so that he put it through the trunk of her chest. And the pig screamed and said, Evil have you done to cast at me when you had known me. Then Brian said, Methinks that is human speech. In origin, the pig said, I am a man, and moreover, I am Cian MacCoincha, or Cian the son of Concha, and give me quarter. We will, indeed, said Jocherba and Jocher, and we regret what has happened to you. But Brian said, I swear by the aerial gods, if the life should come 7 times into thee, that I would deprive thee of it. The antiquated English being used here. Well, said Cian, grant me a favour. We shall, said Brian. Permit me to go into my own shape, said Cian. We will allow it, said Brian, for I often think less of killing a man than a pig. Cian then went into his own shape and said, Now give me quarter. We will not, answered Brian. Well, said Cian, I have circumvented you, because had I been killed in the form of a pig, there would only have been due upon me the eric of a pig, as in the fine, the blood fine. But since it is in my own shape I will be killed, never was there killed, and never shall there be killed, one whose eric will be greater than mine. And even the arms with which I will be slain will recount the deed to my son. It is not, said Brian, with arms you will be slain, but with the surface stones of the earth. And after that they commenced to pelt him, roughly and violently, with stones, until they made a wretched and fearfully crushed mass of the hero. And they buried him the same depth as that of a man in the ground. But the earth did not receive that fratricide from them, but cast him up on the surface of the earth. Brian said he should go again under the earth, and he was buried a second time. But still the earth did not receive him. However, the Chloinne Tuireann buried the body 6 times, and the earth refused it. But the 7th time they put it under the earth, and the earth took to it. And the Chloinne Tuireann went forward after Lughlabh Fada to the battle. As regards Lugh, when he separated from his father, he went forward westwards from Tara to Glarach and Ilglarach, and to Luan Miclui, and to Barna Nahadargama, which is now called Roscommon, and across Maelurg to Corshliav na Shagsa, to the head of Shan Shliav, the old mountain, which is now called Keshcoran, and through the that's Keshcoran in Sligo. I have no doubt. Brilliant. And through the territories of Corran of the Bright Face, and thence to More on Amy, where the foreigners were, and the spoils of Connacht in their possession. Then Bress, the son of Balor, arose and said, I wonder that the sun is rising in the west today, and in the east every other day. It were better that it were so, said the Druids. What else is it but the sun, said he. It is the radiance of the face of Lughlabh Fada, they said. And the Ildamach came to them and greeted them. What is the cause of your salutation, they said. Great is the cause of my greeting, answered he. For there is only one portion of me, of the Tuatha extraction, and the other half belongs to your race. And restore me now the milch cows of Era. So even Lugh had a descendancy on both sides, on one side from the Tuatha and from the other side from Morians. One of them thus spoke in answer to him, That early morning may not come to you until you obtain either a dry or a milch cow here. Then Lugh let a druidical spell upon the cattle spoils, and sent to every house in Era its own milch cows. And he left the dry cows with them, so that they should not leave that territory until the she cavalcade would overtake them. Lugh was 3 days and 3 nights about them until the fairy cavalcade arrived and encamped around Lugh. And there came Bov Jarag, son of the Dagda, with 29,000 to them. What is the cause of your delay in not giving battle? Awaiting you, said Lugh. And that, my dear friends, finally an hour and a half into the live stream, is where we will leave part 1 of Oidhe Chloinne Tuireann, the fate of the sons of Turin, which, as I said, will be a 4-parter this time round. Anyway, if you're interested, that version is available. Maybe it's not. Let me just do a quick googly. Let me just see. Yeah, I'm not sure where I bought it though. It might have been on ABE Books at the time. That's a few years ago. That was during a couple of years ago at least. Yeah, actually, it's 2019. There you go. But yeah, lovely, a lovely version of that story, and beautifully bound. And because it's a facsimile reprint, it's not one of these OCR, optical character recognition scans, and it even has the original Irish look in the old script. Lovely stuff, you know. A solar deity, Light Lu, belonging to both groups. Thanks for part 1, Sons of Turin. Yeah, so it's usually spelled Tuireann. Have I got that right? Yeah. And that word, Oidhe, is interesting. I'm not entirely sure that I have the pronunciation right. It actually also means a slaying or a violent death, but it's the tragedy or the tragic tale. Yeah. So it's like the Irish version of the Greek tragedy in a way, you know. Thank you, Michael. And I will hang around for comments and questions. I'm not immediately running out of the... I won't be running anyway, not with a crampy leg. It seems to be okay now. Touch wood and keep drinking the water. So glad you're okay. And thanks for another episode. My pleasure, Elaine. And always great to see you. I hope you're staying cool over there. Mariana, thank you. You're very, very welcome. Desiree, yes, indeed. Hope Amadeus was finally happy to hear Coda. Yes, Samantha, even the soil refused, the very soil. And Murhevna, the plain covered by the sea, because it was so named because at one time a magic sea covered it. And that is the modern county of Louth, from the Boyne to probably the Castletown River in Dundalk. That area known as Murhevna anciently. And there is a housing estate. I love to see this because some housing estates in Ireland are given dreadful names, names totally lacking in any imagination or local import or relevance or connection. But there's a housing estate in Dundalk called Murhevna Moor. There you go. Druidical beasts and shape-shifting talk, says Michael Trott. Good morning to you, Michael, by the way. I'm not sure if I said hello to you earlier. I don't think I did. We once had very dangerous sheep. Have the rabbits been infected? A very appropriate wish for today. Glad you made it, says Barbara. Yes, must remember the zinc and the magnesium. But thankfully, that doesn't happen very often these days. It's a much more regular occurrence when I drank coffee. And I never was a huge coffee drinker either, you know. And I'm sad because I like coffee, but it doesn't like me. Guyan Books is the site, and it is available about €45. Sotonar, is that the book that we were reading from tonight? If you could provide a link, that would be great, because there are people here who will buy it and would love to maybe read along and have it in their collection. Thank you, Desiree. Always a pleasure. Oh, sorry, maybe I've had that one already. Oh, Kibble Henge is here. I didn't realize you were there, but hello to you and thank you for joining us. Where was Gondor? When the Westfold fell. Yes. And Michael, yes, sorry, that's it. Hello at the ending. You joined us towards the end. You may want to rewatch. There's apparently a very embarrassing incident where my leg cramped and I had to switch the camera off and go and hobble around the room for 5 minutes. But anyway, Eamon McDonough, should I say, is in Sunny, hot Chicago. Sounding good, Anthony. Thanks for joining us, Eamon. Hope you were able to enjoy at least some of that. But as I say, as soon as we finish streaming, the video of tonight's stream will be available immediately to watch on both YouTube and on the Mythical Ireland Facebook page. Don't forget, if you're on Facebook, don't forget to join the Mythical Ireland community, which is a group where you can participate and make your own posts and talk about all things Irish and mythological and ancient. Okay, I think I've caught up. I'll just scroll all the way back down to the end of the comments again. There's Margaret McKenna sneaking in at the very end. Yes, Margaret, you'll enjoy the replay, especially the bit where my leg cramped badly and I had to turn off the camera. But anyway, these things happen. Kolosov says, our good friend Gemma, yeah, Ichoa, and hope to see you soon. Oh, okay. It is that book. I can't post a link on the YouTube. Okay. Let me just see. Gaian books. Let me see if I can get the link so I can share that with people where they perhaps can, excuse me, secure their own copy of it. Get this book in print, ABE Books. Ah, there we go. Yeah, so it's available from India in that same format, that leather bound, that beautiful. So I'll just share that link. And yeah, I know it took a while to get here. I think I might have waited a month or 6 weeks for it. But it did eventually get here, and I was very glad for it because it's beautiful. It's really lovely. And I'm only just realizing now there's a folklore or a dictionary or a glossary in the back of it. So I could have been looking up all those terms that I was using Google to look up. But anyway, it is what it is. We'll know that for future reference for next time. So I've just shared that link on YouTube and on the Facebook page. This is where you can go and get your own copy. Caffeine is a big dehydration source here, and I can't. I have to drink plenty of water, and I can't drink coffee for that precise reason because it's connected, I think, with dehydration. Britt Griffin nipped in towards the very end, but why did the soil reject him 6 times but not the 7th? Good question. And I don't think the story supplies the answer. They have a ton of great old and rare stuff on there. Yeah, I'm nervous when I buy a book like that from a company far away. And it's nothing against India or anything, because I'm always concerned that I have bought books in the past, mythological books, reprints, where it was an OCR and the typography was not very nice. And the wonderful thing about these works, as it were, translated works, if you go back far enough, is that they have the Irish, they have the English, they have footnotes, they have a glossary, they have an index. It's valuable. Whereas the OCR ones just give you the English text, and sometimes it's not rendered properly and the spellings are wrong. So I'm always a bit nervous, but if you can find the facsimile reprints, brilliant, because it's as good as getting the original. And in fact, I suspect if you could find an original of that, it would probably cost you €100 to buy, Tea contains 95% less caffeine than coffee, which is probably why I can drink. I would have I might have 1 cup of tea a day. I drink herbal tea. I mostly drink peppermint or mint tea. Coffee, no, big no. Okay, that seems to be us. Thank you very much, folks. Don't forget, as always, do consider becoming a patron and Patreon. Quite busy lately with various things. And I am planning to make another podcast very soon, because I had been doing podcasts for patrons and had stopped doing them, and I need to get back to doing those again. And now that I'm not working full-time in newspapers anymore, and now that I'm working full-time for Mythical Ireland, that is hopefully more achievable. Alva Kelly, take it easy and have a great week. Pardon me, same to you. Hope you all have a great week. Take it easy Be well, be good, stay cool, and if you're in Ireland, stay dry. Ichawa, Kulasov, Slán go fóil, agus tó go bugé. Take it easy.